We are live. Yes, we are. Hello, hello, everybody. You know what time it is when Kitty and I come together? It's playtime. Yay, 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 yay. Hello, everybody. Thank you for your patience. As we didn't specify, well, I did specify that we were going to be coming on Facebook at 7:15. However, due to challenges on internet, those things don't always work out the way it should be. So anyhow, hello Kitty. How are you?
I am well. How are you?
I am better now that I'm here and everything's working as it should be. It's always so funny. I feel like I always have to get on like a half hour before or an hour before I'm actually scheduled to be on, just to make sure everything is working out right. So, but I am here now. How exciting is that? Introduce yourself, Kitty. Let everybody know that we are here, what we're doing here, as I am checking in to make sure we are streaming where we need to be.
I am Kitty Budewick Foss, the co-founder of Intuition of the Soul, the course leader of Optimize Your Energy, which is a course on how to read your astrology chart and how to really use it, not just know what it means, but what does that look like in your day-to-day. I'm many things today, especially, and I'm very excited about this particular topic because Jupiter, our planet of expansion, is calling us because it's in great alignment as this Pluto shifts. And all that work you've been doing for the last couple of years, well, this is the year we're tying it together to get ready for that big plane takeoff in 2025. So
Notice she skipped over 2024. The big plane taking off in 2025. Oh
well,
my God.
but what I said is this is the year this all comes to an understanding. You get it. You understand what a lot of this is about. And that was a word Spirit gave me probably a few weeks ago. And I'm like, well, that's an interesting word for the year. And it was understanding. But I am beginning to understand what that exactly means. And so very excited about this topic and about the fact we'll be doing this on this platform. And of course, I always share this on Intuition of the Soul. And some really good updates, Joanne. I think we should plan to do this a couple times a month because it's the times they are really a changing.
Yes. 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 So we are streaming on the major platforms. We're here obviously on Facebook land. We're on YouTube and also Twitter. So wherever you are streaming from, remember, because we are on StreamYard, you do need to give permission to StreamYard to show your comments. So make sure you click on that link that I shared out like a few minutes ago, that you can go ahead and share your comments because we are streaming. I'm super excited to be here. Kitty, is this our first time coming together to play since New Year's, or did we do something prior? I don't remember.
It's only the 7th.
Oh. Well, it is only the 7th, but that means there's 7 days ago that we could have. Did we come play before? Anytime before the 7th?
No, because I've had company, so no, I haven't really been online.
Okay, thank you. It was so funny. I did a Reels today, and I haven't done a Reels in 7 days, so it was like my first Reels for 2024. And let me tell you, I don't know about you. When you do Reels, do you have to do your Reels like multiple times until you actually get it right, and you get it in the time frame that it needs to be?
No, that part isn't hard for me. The part that is hard sometimes is misspeaking, or it's not really what I want to say. And I do a lot of channeling. So I actually do a lot of one take and dones. And then there are sometimes, but this, it's funny you should say that, because I've had to redo out of the 7 I've done. I think I've had to redo 4 or 5 because I keep saying 2023. And I don't get it until the replay and I go, oh, and 2023. So I did it today again. January 7th, 2023, and then had to redo the reel. So I figure that's partially what Spirit's doing, and there's just a lot of information coming forward.
Yes, like my reels today, I kid you not when I say this, I probably redid it about a dozen times because the information that was coming through, and this was information that was actually shared earlier through connecting with the universe and having a nice, interesting conversation with one of my mentors today that I wanted to share out. But every time I went to share, it was like, okay, more information was coming through, and it's like, okay, I only have like a minute and 30 seconds to do this. I
Mhm.
can't share all this information that's coming through, so I need to pick and choose what I'm going to share because minute and 30, what is the reels? Like a minute and 30 seconds that we get
It's
to play?
yes, because Instagram is only depending is only 90 seconds, so it often gets cut.
Yes,
It,
yes.
depending how you upload it to Instagram, there are workarounds. There's obviously workarounds because some people have much longer things that
Yes, yes.
get played on TikTok. So
Exactly. I'm still
um,
trying to figure out how they do that on TikTok, where their conversations are like almost 3 minutes long, 5 minutes long. It's like, how are they doing that? Why do they get all the special treatment? And I want to get to do that too.
I think there might be a level that they're at
Yeah.
that they have that the X amount of followers and do all of that. Now this has been, I talked to my friend Amy, the other co-founder of um, Intuition, and she was saying, "What is going on?" And because I've had company, I have stepped way back, and I always step back from the news. Um, and I had missed quite a few. There's a lot of physical activity happening, storms and earthquakes and tsunamis. And I did notice, I think you and I talked about this the last time, there was all kinds of very strange stories that um, they were sharing all over in that week between Christmas, and some of them were horrible.
Yeah.
Like, why are we focusing in on this?
Yeah.
It's been was very interesting, but that really is all a part of what we're talking about today. This Jupiter calls, Pluto shifts, and expansion in groups. That is the age of Aquarius. That is this Pluto movement. It's Jupiter headed into Gemini. It's getting ready for Neptune to head into Aries next year. And there's a lot of things that we're finishing up, re-examining, looking at. Um,
What did you say is going to be heading into Aries next year?
Neptune,
That's right. That's right. Because it's in Pisces right now. Yes.
end of a 14-year cycle, started in 2011. Um,
Wow.
and with this Aries, Libra, North Node, South Node, huge energy around these new starts and these looking at our beliefs, and Jupiter spending this year really getting us to look at how we stabilize this expansion or the first part of this year as then it moves into Gemini, and Pisces really getting us to look at what our dreams, what our illusions, what have we bought into, looking at beliefs. So as we move into Aries, this new spark of flow of what we're going to get done, how we're going to approach dreams. And it's such an interesting, no, extraordinary energy, uh, uh, because it's really very solidly holding our individualism and to put together the groups and learning. I really am now understanding why Mars, at the beginning of last year and at the end of spent 7 months in Gemini. And there was a really good reason for that Aries planet. And it left just as Pluto crossed into Aquarius, just as all of this level of divinity and things stepped up in March for the preview of what we're getting ready for this year as Pluto heads back in, and Jupiter spends its last few months really stabilizing the truce, stabilizing the expansions in us so that we can take them and create. So that is very exciting. It is an extraordinary year. I'm not going to skip this year. Um, And I know it's getting the runway. It's the control tower now, talking to the plane, taxiing out, and we are taxi is as much a part of the trip as anything else is when you take a flight. So, and if you've ever been stuck on a taxi, stuck on an airplane, you know that that is an important part of waiting for things to clear and figuring out the space we're moving in. So,
Yes.
pretty pretty extraordinary year.
Yes. Yes. It is definitely extraordinary.
Think about that. Think about that word, Joanne. You're going to be part of the group that we're going to host on Intuition of the Soul, where we come and talk about words and extraordinary. And
Yes.
that's what we're creating. What is ordinary is extra. It is beyond what we've been looking at before. It's new technologies. It's just a different understanding. It is extra of the ordinary.
Yes. Yes. And for those who are with us now, or you might be watching this later, whatever the case, you might be curious to know what Kitty and I are chatting about in regards to different words. We have, well, I started in regards to looking at words like last year in regards to, as Kitty calls it, high activating words versus denser
Ex-
words,
Expansive words versus
expansive words versus higher words, and changing our vocabulary a little bit in regards to using words that's going to really be in a expansive energy. And last week, I think it was a week before, Kitty and I, with several others, were playing with some words that we were all sharing, and we came up with a whole list of different words to use going forward. Now, my intent is to eventually take all those words that we did come together to learn, to bring together, is to eventually write an article about all these amazing new words that we will be using. And hopefully, in time, many more people will start to play this game with us and start using different words so we can start expanding our own energies and releasing words that are denser. And
that they limit us.
yes, and they do limit us. Like, it's so interesting. I was watching something on TikTok, and I forget what the actual title of it was, but they had given some interesting words, such as like the word for area, an opposite word of that would be zone. One of the words that I actually liked, which was an idea, another word is thought. So just using different words to play with and see how words actually resonate with you. Now, of course, you may have your own words that you're choosing. Um, Yes, Abigail St. Clair is watching with us right now, and she actually uses the word. She changed the word workshop to play shop, and it was so funny because when she started posting that on Facebook, I had tapped right into that with her, and I was like, "Oh my God!" I started doing that too, and she and I were right on the same page together because when we think of workshop versus play shop, workshop is like, ugh, I have to work. With play shop is like, yes, who doesn't want to play? Now I
Right.
know I would much rather play.
Well, and I was talking to a friend, and she said one that she had heard that I'm going to use is instead of, even the word idea, whatever and when you're talking about philosophy, she said thought experiments. I had a thought experiment about that. Um, and that's exactly what we are talking about. I have been using one of the ones we did talk about on that day, and this is very Jupiter oriented because we're getting ready for Gemini. Gemini
Yes,
is communication. Gemini is our experience, and and stabilizing how we want to be seen. That is what Jupiter is pushing us at this end for. And of course, we have um, our Pluto headed back into Aquarius from January 20th until early September. And then it dips just a little bit back into Capricorn to finish up that structure. And then for the next 20 years, it stays in Aquarius. And, just again, for people's understanding, the last time it spent time in Aquarius was very big governmental, very big idea changes. It was the US Constitution. It was the French Revolution. It was looking at what really colonization was. They were huge, sweeping changes of the we. It is Aquarian energy, that revolutionary we energy, the vision, and it's in how we think. And so we've been dipping back into this. And what you've been seeing with the polarity that's been coming up is exactly very Pluto and Capricorn, pulling apart to redo the structure. And so we had a little peek into this Aquarian energy from the end of March until June of this past year. And then we spend most of the year in that energy with that last dip back into to redo that structure, push that. Interestingly enough, right across the American election. So it's a very, very interesting thing. But we had a discussion about words, and one of the ones was I would say no worries. When people say no problem, both words, problem and no, have a different agreement in your head. And so I would say no worries, but no and worry. So now what I'm saying is worry free. Worry free.
Exactly. Worry free, or my pleasure, is another nice way that if someone says something better than saying no problem, or it's, oh, my pleasure.
And the harder part is when somebody says, I'm sorry, my pleasure, I couldn't, that's why I say worry free.
Exactly. And also, Kitty and I have spoken about the words, even using the term, I'm sorry. Why the hell are we sorry?
Unless we've done something, unless we are making a promise to do something different.
Yes.
Then it truly is, I'm sorry.
Yes.
You can use words like, and though it seems awkward at first, I really have compassion for that. Like someone passed away. I have a lot of compassion. You lost your dad. That's really touches my heart. We're looking for ways to connect, and, your loss is great. Sending you a hug. Have a lot of compassion for that, because that's really what you're identifying is you do have compassion when someone loses someone, or not just someone, animal, something, some loss happens, jobs. I feel the fact that you have to go through this. I have compassion that you have to go through this, and really, that's one reason we wanted to do this tonight, because it's very exciting when we tap into the joy, and our friend Joe Monkman has been talking about it. It's so exciting when we really realize the powerful human beings that we are. In every moment, in every instance, we have the power to look at. And words do start. Like I have a person I know, and dear friend, and she's in a tenable situation, and she is doing something that she doesn't necessarily feel good about doing. And she just, I kind of have suggested, instead of saying, I just can't, say, I just won't. At least if I say won't, I own that it's a decision. And again, it's the agreement we have around words. Can't is not physically able to.
Yes.
And it's not, and then let go of the judgment around, I won't do that. It's all right. But at least own it. Then you can really start to look at, is that true that I won't? That's.
And it even goes true when we say, I can't. Well, is it really true that you can't?
No. Unless you physically can't.
Yes. And even with that, when we really think about the word can't, there's always something we can do. Maybe it may not be the biggest thing we want to do at that moment, but there's always something we can do. So can't, I think, theoretically should be striked out from everyone's vocabulary, because reality of it all is you can do something in that very moment. It may not actually be the very thing you want to do, but you can do something very small.
I really think can't is reserved for physical limitations or mental limitations.
Yes.
I can't solve pi to the 5,000th degree. I can't do it. I don't have any idea how to do it.
Exactly.
If I'm my eyes are not working. I can't see it. Or sometimes I can't see something unless I get some light. That's a limitation that is in front of me, versus, but the truth is, I could say I won't be able to see that, and that's still true. So,
Exactly,
it's,
exactly.
and this is what we're talking about in this kind of Pluto energy and this Jupiter energy. And one of the things that I'm very aware of in this year is, um, I've been talking about it with you, but I found a great quote, and it's from a book on astrology of this year called We Moon. And I'm going to read it if that's all right, Joanne.
Of course.
So this year is about whether whether our social nexuses are healthy. It's talking about that this is a year of learning how to be in groups. And Mars spent all that time in Gemini to learn about our will, because that's what Mars is, of how we hold the components of opposites. How do we look at stuff? Really spent that time to have us look at how we communicated, how we hold this. And whether the social nexuses are healthy or create new forms of oppression, because that has been mankind's. That is the components of opposite. As we work in groups, whether they're healthy, I can hold space for other people, or I find a way to oppress people, depending how I am in a group. This will depend on our ability to respect our differences, creating truly diverse inclusivity rather than homogeneous and unhealthy groups. And one of the big focuses of this um, year is how we align ourselves with teams and communities and countries and find circles that nourish us, tap into the joy, bring that forward so we can hold that space for everyone. And we're going to remember the autonomy in the last few decades. If I'm going to afford myself this personal autonomy I've been working for, I afford it to other people. You've heard me say this 1,000 times, uh, Joanne, but my own life is barely my business. What you're doing is certainly not mine.
Exactly.
And in a group, holding that diversity by not oppressing what they have to say. And then again, having the boundary to say, no, that's you, you do you, you know.
Exactly. Exactly. And also not creating stories to what you think the other person may think or is thinking. It's none of our business what the other person is thinking. Exactly. So if we just eliminate all of that altogether in regards to, well, how would they view this? Well, you know what? It's none of my business. So let me.
I have truthfully no idea. That goes back to the idea, even in our words, we have different agreements around the words we use. Some of the phrases, there was one and we were talking about in our group that I've never had a problem with. And it's not that there's not a should or shouldn't in here. It's not an agreement I have, but other people had it for.
I think the one you're talking about is you're welcome.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
And
we went back and forth on that one for a little while, where there were some people that had, I'm going to use the word reservations about the word, where they had wanted to change it because what are we welcoming in when we say you're welcome? And when we think about it, it makes sense. It's like, okay, so if I say you're welcome to somebody, what am I actually saying I'm welcoming into that energy? And I think the word that we shifted it to, which is where my pleasure came in.
My pleasure. That was for some people much more neutral. I didn't personally. You're welcome usually is very accurate. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome. You are welcome to do this. But for them, they had other things around protection, and that's fine. So that's one reason why my pleasure was a more appropriate thing. And that is the kind of thing we're talking about in the diversity of a group. We are really looking to honestly, in our circles, speak up with compassionate hearts to help guide this trajectory of the we. In other words, it's great if you're welcome is a hard term for you. Doesn't mean I'm never going to use it, but it does mean I'm going to accept that they're going to use my pleasure.
Exactly.
And just like for me, I do not use higher frequency, higher vibration and lower vibration, not because of, anybody else's judgment, but my word in my head, and that's what I think as we reach to that seer level, that we start to pick up the energy more, and the words mean less as we pick up the energy. And this there's just so much going on. We can accommodate all the human souls and support personal individuality while still nurturing larger and including our own ecosystem coming together for things that we need for Earth. And so it's a very exciting time. What's really interesting is January 1st of this year, 2024, there was a grand trine between the sun, the moon, and Jupiter. The sun was in Capricorn, the moon was in Leo, so earth, fire, and Jupiter was also earth. So it was because Jupiter is in Taurus. And so this was a grand trine for those folks that are listening is it's a trine that we have in our charts every day, but it's on the much larger scale of the whole chart. And I'm not even going to say good news, bad news. There are denser expressions and expanded expressions of that. The expanded is it's always working for you. Our sun is our engine, what drives us forward. In Capricorn, it's about the larger picture and our potential. Our moon is our private energy. And in Leo, it's about our private us. So here we have the bigger picture. We have the picture of us, and then we have Jupiter. How do we expand ourselves to hold that bigger picture? The denser expression or the challenge at times, and that can be in a grand trine, is it's hard to pull apart the pieces because it's a constant conversation. The energies are mixed. And so, which it reminds us to be grounded and take action on ideas that resonate with us, that feel like they will expand us, not to oppress others, but expand us. Again, what groups are you participating in?
Yes,
not for all of us.
Exactly. And just talking about word changes and shifting words around, even the word news, as Kitty's saying, it's not about bad or good. For me, the word news is like, okay, it's an opportunity for something for me to learn. And what am I learning from that experience of whatever the news may be? An opportunity to learn. And moving, like for me in 2023, my big aha moments were about, what am I focused on? Am I focused on, quote unquote, all the, let's say, bad news, so to speak, if that's what we want to refer to? Or am I focused on what am I learning from whatever the news is? And what am I going to take from the news that's coming through? And where does your focus go? Because again, if you're focused on the bad news, then that's the energy you're going to start attracting in. And of course, that's what you're going to hear more of because that's what you focus on. Whereas, as Kitty said earlier, our good friend Joe Monkman, who spoke about this all of 2023, and I'm sure he's going to speak about it in 2024 as well, focus on the joy. Because there is so much joy that we can really experience and spread out if we all focus on the joy. I just want to give a shout out to a lot of people who's popping in right now. We have Crystal Teal that just popped in. We have Susan that just popped in. And I think that's how we say Susan's name. I should know how to say Susan's name. I know Susan since I'm 12 years old, believe it or not. I'm going to share a little backstory for Susan Duncan that's here. She was the owner of the Slimnastics facility that I actually went to when I was 12. So thanks to her, we can all give her a big round of applause for why I do what I do, because yes, I was one of the students. She wasn't the instructor that I worked under, but she was the owner. So big round of applause for her. Considering it's Capricorn season, it is about achievements, recognition, and success. So yeah. And then we also have Dee here as well. So if you are here and you want to leave your comments, feel free to do so. Hopefully you let you share with StreamYard your name so you can leave comments, and as they come in, I'll note them. So Kitty and I are just having a very fun conversation about our title for today. And Kitty, what was the title again?
Jupiter calls, Pluto shifts, expansion in groups.
Yes, and it's a powerful title because, again, when we talk about Jupiter's energy, it's that expansion that we're all experiencing, expanding.
And it's
To,
in truths. That's
yeah,
the important part. It's
yes,
truths that expand us, not things that limit us. And if we can kind of use that as an axiom, does that limit me or does it expand me? That's a great way to take into a group. Is this something that's expanding me or am I feeling limited and um, it doesn't mean I'm going to always be comfortable in every group, but is it limiting me because I'm not using my voice? I'm not feeling um, not just heard or what they're saying isn't. It doesn't feel genuine. Those are the kinds of things we're looking at because this is the last year Neptune is in Pisces, and we have to review all of these Piscean lessons. Pisces is our dreams, our reality, our looking at how we work with our intuition, our spiritual vision. And of course, we've got Pluto in Aquarius, our spiritual vision, how we transform for that. Or, and are we going to continue to expand our wisdom? And then as we need to review what we've learned, we're going to be able to really look at our psychic boundaries, our expansion, and developing our intuition because as it gets ready next year to move into Aries, it's taking that information, moving it forward in that focused flow. Where are we going? Very much that spark. And our eclipses this year are Libra and Aries mainly. And those are very important because they're shift and expose our own shenanigans. I like that word, shenanigans.
yes, I like that word too. And if you wouldn't mind, because I know there are a few people who are watching that's very new to astrology. A lot of them follow me. If you wouldn't mind just elaborating a little bit about the Aries Libra energy, considering it is out, they are our North and South node energy. So
So
if you could elaborate.
our nodes are our soul's highest goals and what we kind of come in with our expertise around. And we spend our life kind of moving from our south axis to our north axis. And of course, we have that for the world right now. And it's in Aries and Libra. And Libra is about how we think. It is about balance and justice. And that's our south node. And what it's asking us to do very clearly, starting exactly around the same timeline that Mars was in Gemini, very similar timeline, is asking us to really look at what beliefs, what things of how we think that we thought brought us justice and harmony and balance really are in our way, and that we may have even have deep hidden beliefs that we are really digging down to because they don't keep us in balance. Things about I'm not good enough that are buried underneath. And we're moving past, we're discovering them. It's not about I'm healing them. I know they're in there. How do I uncover them? How do I really look at my beliefs? That's this Libra and South node. Moving towards this Aries energy. Aries is the ultimate cardinal energy. It is the spark. It is what sets something in motion. It is the first step. It is the first breath. It is that beginning energy. It's its own energy that sparks and sends us in a direction. So we're taking that look at those things that have been our way and sparking into a new direction, letting those go. And our eclipses, which really much are about looking at exposing things that just haven't been work. We have a full solar eclipse this year about new understandings, getting rid of the blocking of our misunderstandings and clarifying what our passions, what that spark is asking our soul. We all have our own North Node placement to step into. Now, Joanne and I have the same, we are on the same axes, our North and South Node, except they're completely reversed. And so for us, it's sparking that what is it every day I need to do? What is it that Spirit is asking me to look at the bigger picture of? That's the axis that our North and South Node are on. So, there is a new growth for your soul being called forward this year. Very
Yes.
much.
Yes, and our nodes will be also changing in 2025, which I've been saying to Kitty I'm really excited about because it's actually
Yeah,
going to
January,
be,
right in the beginning. Yep.
yeah, it's going to be changing right into Kitty's and my sign, Pisces, Virgo. So I'm super excited to see what takes place then. Because again, my node is in Pisces and Kitty's node is in Virgo. So that it's quite interesting on the oppositions
Our
here.
north nodes, yes, our
Yeah,
soul's
I don't
growth
know. Yeah.
area. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
And
So
so, and it's really, as Jupiter enters Gemini, it's very liberating because it's about how we speak. So it's no accident that we've all been called to words and things. It's about how we speak, reminding us that freedom comes from free information and learning to allow everyone else to process it. Because again, we do not have the same agreements around words. We do not know everyone's backstory. As Joanne said earlier, I don't know why you maybe reacted to what I said, that I have no paradigm at which to come from it. That's why the fifth agreement, be skeptical and learn to listen. Being skeptical that I completely understand what you're saying, or I know what you mean. When I hear that now, I know what she meant. Do you?
yeah, exactly. We sometimes we don't know what we mean ourselves. Nevertheless,
Right.
for someone else to know what we mean. So again, it's allowing ourselves to also move into that space of compassion when somebody is speaking, and not what I'm hearing right now. Not take everything so personal because when somebody is saying whatever it is they're saying, it's not being directed at you. However, if you're being activated, then maybe it is being directed at you for you to review it in reference to what can you learn from whatever is being actually said. And the way I see it, everything is a teaching opportunity. So
Mhm.
as each one of us, we're all here as teachers and we're all here as students. So there's an opportunity to learn something. So if the next time someone is saying something, whether they're saying it directly to you or they're saying it in general conversation, and it does activate you, as Kitty's word, take a moment and ask yourself, okay, so why is this bothering me so much? They're not talking to me directly, but why am I being activated by this conversation? And take some time to review and learn something about yourself. It could very well be in regards to an experience that you had with it, and it's showing up because it's time for you to learn about it, get into that place where we can heal from it, and you can go into that space of grow from it so you can forgive it. And that I believe is like the layer of where we are with this energy that we're moving into, this Jupiter energy.
Extraordinary. It's looking at every ordinary thing and understanding there's extra around it, extraordinary. And,
Exactly.
I that's a word that I, give credit to, having been a longtime member of Al-Anon. The word that people use a lot is trigger. Like trigger gets pulled and something happens. And a very wise woman said, I don't really like that word because trigger means like shot, and somehow it feels like there's not as much. When I use activate, it means I take an action versus it
Yes.
triggered me. And like I don't have, no, it activated me for me to do something. And now some people, the word trigger doesn't have that extra information around it. They may think of it as triggered as in it made something move and they take the action. So again, it's understanding we don't all have the same agreements around words and what works for us. Activate, and you like it too. You like the word activate because it seems, for me, it is a more neutral word. It's about action for me. So, and some, again, just like you're welcome had no activation for me. It doesn't
Yes.
mean that for other people. And it's what you're using, not what other people are saying. It's how
Exactly.
you're using it. It's connected to your
Exactly.
schema of
Exactly, exactly. It again, whatever resonates with you. If it doesn't resonate, then continue using the words you like to use,
right.
because you have that as the word I'm hearing. You have the freedom to use whatever word you like, and you could play with the words and shift
And
things when you want to shift them.
and that will be a key as Jupiter enters on May 25th into Gemini, finding the diversity in the groups to accept the language of other people as well. And again, like you said, it isn't personal except if you make it personal.
Yes.
And even if someone is insulting, that's on them. They're having a bad day. I don't know what's going on with them. It doesn't mean I'm going to stand there and take it. It does mean, though, that it's not about how dare you disrespect me. It's on them. You do you. And just like we can't make anybody, we can, and, saying to people, I might do it this way, and then letting it go might mean down the road, 2 years from now, they'll hear that again and say, oh, that was a good idea. It doesn't mean if in the moment, one of the things that I have tried to follow is I say it to you once and then I let it go. If I say it to you twice, I'm trying to control it. So
yes. And it's interesting you say that, because theoretically, I'm just going to use the word friend. I'm going to go with that label. A friend of mine usually will say that to me, that if I'm saying something and then I repeat it again, it's like you have to control everything. And in my mind, I'm only repeating it because in my mind, it's like I'm repeating it because I'm reminding you that it needs to be done. It's not necessarily that I'm controlling you for it to get done. I'm reminding you because I'm repeating it because I'm reminding you. So for me, that's what that's about. It's like if I have to say it again, it's because it's a reminder, right? Not necessarily a control.
And there's different situations. Sometimes it is a reminder. And since we're trying to clarify words, sometimes we try to say it in a different way. But if we find ourselves saying something over and over again and they're not then we're trying to take some kind of control. Yes. I can't make anybody do anything.
No. And the only thing we can make anybody do is make ourselves do whatever it is we need to do. So if there's something we are looking to change how we respond or do with whatever the situation is. And there's where the change will come in. If you choose not to want to be a part of something, rather than changing whatever it is, well, step out of what you don't want to be a part of. And there's your change. And that's that Jupiter expansion energy, is that you get to decide, does this work for me or does it not work for me? You don't have to stay on anything if it's not working for you now. Doesn't mean you can't go back later and decide, you know what, I'm going to look at this in a different way and maybe it will work for me now. So you can always go back.
Right. And with Jupiter and Gemini, we will be hearing people perhaps communicate things that we'll be practicing. Oh, that's on you do you. That's you. My friend Daphne has a book called You Do You. And it's a wonderful thing to remember. You just do you. It doesn't mean I work on judging you. You just do you. It's not what I would do. I'm not comfortable maybe even having you do that around me, and you still are going to do you. I take care of me, just what you just said. I just do my piece in this, which is what boundaries are about.
Yes,
no, yes. I won't be hearing you say that, or I'll just be, and it's not, I'm going to make you stop. I'm just going to be out of this. And in groups, I am uncomfortable. We're going to be practicing what this communication is going to be looking like, how to expand it.
Yes, and that falls again into the boundaries, where again, something I learned, I think it was in the middle of 2023, a conversation that was taking place between a mother and daughter, a story where the daughter kept insisting that the mother change her pattern about occasions. And finally, I guess one day she was sitting with a therapist, and the therapist says, well, rather than trying to change how your mother responds to or reacts to, why don't you change the way you react to what your mother's doing? So if you don't like the fact that your mother gets loud or over controlling during occasions, then you decide at that moment of time that, you know what, I'm just not going to tolerate this. So I'm going to remove myself from the situation. So that's how she changed it. So she could sit there and say to her mother, Mom, you need to stop doing what you're doing. You cannot control what Mom's going to do, but you could definitely take yourself out of the situation and say, you know what, as long as you want to continue to react the way you're reacting about this occasion, I'm just not going to be a part of it. So I'm going to leave now. And that's it. And this way here, that's how you set in precedence your way of changing something, because you can't stop the other person from doing what they're doing, but you can definitely change it for yourself by coming out of it.
Well, and one of the things with Jupiter and Gemini we're going to be looking at, like Jupiter calls, I've stabilized myself in this Taurus energy that I expand when and I've really worked on this higher understanding of my truths that stabilize me, is remembering in Gemini that you can ask the deeper questions. Do you really mean that this is what you are thinking? And to problem solve or solution generate. Let me use that.
Yes.
That not to be lulled into kind of shallow conversation so I don't hit any bumps, but to be able to ask the deeper questions. What are you meaning when you say this? This is how I'm hearing that. And even if that's tough, sometimes you don't want that answer, but it's the truth. Again, it's that free flow of information.
Yes, exactly. And communication. I mean, the one thing we all want is that communication with each other, but yet it's the one thing that we choose not to act on is when a person is saying something, come back and say to them, well, this is what I'm hearing. Is that what you're meaning?
Yeah.
And then they get to clarify what it is they're saying. Maybe that's not how they are looking for it to come out for you to hear it, but this is how I'm hearing it. So is that what you mean?
Right. And this is what we're spending these months until it moves into grounding ourselves very clearly in what our beliefs are, what stabilizes us, the truth of that allow us to travel and be. It isn't about me asserting this is who I am. It's about me. This is who I am, and being very comfortable in our own skin. And what is the vision we hold for mankind? That everybody can be comfortable in their own skin, and that people don't tell each other how to be in their own skin and don't encroach upon other people. And it's going to push norms and values and make it look differently. And there's a lot of that out there. And it's a change, and change is hard. And Pluto is the planet of change and transformation. And this is changing the vision of how we see the bigger group. So that is part of what you see in this, and I love, I'm going to read it because I thought it was one of the best things I've ever read.
One of the best things you've ever read, because I'm sure you're going to read other things that's going to be just as good.
Well, it's like our friend Joe posted a thing. Shout out to all the magical people I haven't met yet. I thought that was a wonderful one too. What a great thing. This is it. You may not be able to change the entire world, but you can release your love and watch its vibrant colors paint the world around you with kindness and patience, and watch your little part of it change for the better. And that's how we change the world.
Yes. And Joe Monkman also, based on one of my words for 2024, at least for January, is miracles, is expect miracles. Every single day, expect a miracle. Not just one miracle, miracles. That there are miracles all around us. And
I think that goes with extraordinary.
Yeah, and just be open to being compassionate to everybody, because we don't really know what everybody is experiencing in their own little head, in their own little mind, in their own little bodies. We have absolutely no idea what someone is actually going through right now. So if you could just lend out compassion, shine some joy and love out there, that's the best thing we could do in the space of expanding out into this Jupiter's energy. Kitty, you have your cards with you?
I have all my cards with me right now.
Oh, goody. So we're going to spend a little while pulling some cards. And we do have people dropping off because some people have to go for dinner. So Abigail said good night to all of us. So thank you, Abigail, for being here with us and sharing your wisdom as well. And so that's what this is all about. Kitty and I come together to play, to share insight, to give you the know of what's going on with our planets, because they are important. And we are very much connected with our planets. And if you have not attuned yourself to understanding what each planet is and how it plays with you, this is a perfect opportunity in 2024 to do just that. Start learning about your planet. You could start with one planet and just play with it for the entire, let's say, month and see how that helps you, such as Pluto, that is making its way out of Capricorn very shortly. Play with Pluto this month and see how you transform in this energy of Pluto. And then once you can understand Pluto, then you can move into a different planet, maybe Jupiter, as it's working its way out of Taurus energy and moving into Gemini.
I was looking for my new dragon cards I got from Carly Jane, and I don't see the bag because this is going to be the year of the dragon.
Yes, the water dragon, as I was reminded by our good friend Deborah, she goes, it's not just about the dragon, it's the water dragon. So we have to make sure.
Because it was the water rabbit.
Yes, yes, yes.
And I am not up on my, other than, what I got on my little placemat about what year I'm born. I'm born the year of the rat. So, I really don't know if there's a reason for water versus fire versus, and if someone out there does know, I would love to hear about it. So so you want to pull the first card or me first?
Yeah, you can pull. I'm just shuffling still.
I am using my friend Jeanette Byro's Awakening Avalon. And I actually brought out my
her toys. She's got a bag of toys.
Yes.
I have to get
pull out
too.
A different way to do it with symbols and astrology symbols. And all right, so this one, look at that.
Before you read your card, where did you get your astrology symbols from?
Oh, Amazon. Just
they have them there.
Oh yeah, you can get. Don't they have everything basically?
Yes. Okay, well, rather than making this about Kitty and I, let's get back to our play and share with all of you.
And look what comes out is the anchoring card of this deck, Awakening Avalon, and Avalon is heaven on earth. Aurora and connection to the sacred realm. And what came in it was the crown chakra. Receive the inspiration to just what we've been talking about, creating your own, this heaven on earth. That is what we are headed for mankind. How do we create heaven on earth?
Yes. And when we think about the crown chakra, for those of you who are familiar with your chakras and those who may be new, all the energy that we experience really does enter from our crown and also our root chakra. Talking about the root chakra, that's the card I got, which is about new relationships. And this is exactly what we're experiencing as we do move into 2024. All the work that we have done, or all the play that we have experienced with ourselves, what we've uncovered over the last, oh my God, how many years now that we've all been doing is peeling and forgiving the new relationships we have with ourselves. Moving into that space of seeing yourself as a kind version of you, a loving version of you. And this way here, you will start attracting some amazing new relationships that's coming through in this Capricorn energy, moving into the age of the Aquarian. That 28 is that 10, which is very much associated with Capricorn. As I've been saying, it's the soul's work that we're here to do. So every person that comes into your path, that person, those people are there to teach you something about yourself. The same way where sometimes people will fade out of your life, whether it's for a season or maybe a full chapter. That doesn't mean they're permanently gone. They're just not there for that chapter. They don't have a role in your story that time around. And it's okay. One of the things I learned about myself in 2023 is that, yes, even family members don't always play a role in the story for the year. So be open to whatever new relationships are coming in based on what you learned about yourself in 2023 and all the years prior. It is going to be an extraordinary year, along with a very, very positive, joyful, and many miracles coming through in 2024 going forward. So I'm loving that card.
Well, and it's interesting because what came out as you were talking was, of course, the throat chakra. The jewel I pulled is the idea of the um, Sagittarian, the cat, the part that stalks and walks around and looks for the truth. Cats are very truthful animals. They take it as it is. And here's the throat chakra: speak your truth and take the swan dive into
Mm,
be daring. Be daring. And again, how you speak your truth has a lot to do with people's reactions. As a special education teacher, one of the things I learned about communication is that 80% of communication is nonverbal. It's in the tone, it's in the eyes, it's in the position of your family or in a position of your body. It's probably in the position of your family too. Um,
exactly.
and so realizing yourself, and again, perhaps that's what you pick up when somebody says something and you're interpreting it, that body language, so that's why I love cats. This is very Sagittarian energy. They sit down and they look. They're kind of into themselves, and when they feel like it, you can be a part of their life.
Exactly. And when we think of the throat chakra, what comes to my mind off the back is with Mercury entering Capricorn, Mercury is associated with the throat chakra. And then with Jupiter, that's going to be entering Gemini, which again is a part of the throat chakra. So pay attention
Mhm.
to your throat chakra. Pay attention to what takes place when you're in a conversation with somebody, how your throat responds. Do you have to literally clear your throat? Do you have to grab some water? Do you find yourself coughing? Coughing is a big one because 90% of the time is when we are in a conversation that we're having a challenging time speaking our truth or expressing ourselves, we often cough. So pay attention to when the coughing shows up because it could be a big lesson for you at that time. And because the throat chakra is going to be an activating chakra with Gemini entering Capricorn, and then in May when Jupiter is moving into Gemini. So it is going to be a big player for us. Oh, did I not shuffle this deck? Because I swore I shuffled the deck. You're not going to believe the card that just showed up again. This must really be an important message for us tonight because it was the card I pulled before.
Yep.
New beginning, 28 and root chakra. So this is a really important card. I have a belief that when I'm pulling cards and a card that shows up multiple times, there's a message there. A big message for all of us about the new relationship. As Kitty and I have been exploring the entire night, the new relationships we have with words. How do the words that you speak, how do the words that you hear resonate with you? Are they elevating you or are you feeling activated by them?
Well, and
This is a perfect
that's the
time.
whole message of the groups this year. How do I hold my individual space, but I participate in a group? And do I come up with ways everyone is all right in the group, or are there new ways that there's oppression happening? Because mankind has been very good at developing new ways to oppress each other, but yet we still rise above them. I mean, one of the most interesting facets of 2023 was, and it's been coming, it's not new, but the whole idea of them, we, I, especially in English, talk about language, it is the last sovereignty. If I don't acknowledge a point of view as a male or female, it's very hard for some of the things that have oppressed people to take place because
Yes.
it's often along the line of gender. And so we find ways around it. And that's the world we're trying to create with our words, how we are in a group. Can we accept the diversity of others?
Yes. And when we think about the new relationship in that 10, those new relationships that are coming in again to play a part in your soul's work that you're here to do. Those new relationships could be from the same people you had relationships from before, except it's going to be in a new way. So pay attention and do not, and what I'm hearing really loud and clear, and I don't know if this is just for me or for all of us, but I'm going to share it. Be aware that do not hold grudges on a relationship that might have not have been the way you expected it to be open to the possibility that that person has grown and there's a new way of communicating and connecting in that relationship. So let go of the grudges, let go of thinking, oh, well, I don't have a relationship with that person. You may. That that could be one of the reasons why they're showing back up in your life in this chapter, because now they have a role to play with you in this chapter. Because again, every person plays a character in your chapter, and you created that story. So here's an opportunity to experience a new relationship with that person. So rather than holding on to the grudges and the old stories about that person, let go of that and be open to expanding into that new relationship with them and seeing what you learn about yourself from them. And that's where the growth comes into play.
Yes, very much.
Yes.
Oh, this has been a fun, very fun first time through.
Yes, I'm going to pull one more card because the two that I pulled were the same. Let's see if we get this card a third time. Want to give a shout out to Norma that just popped in. Norma just celebrated a birthday the other day on January 4th. So she had yes, the day that Mars entered into Capricorn. Yes.
Yep.
Oh, I really almost thought we had the same card. I was about to say, no way in heaven. But this card is in reverse, and interesting for a reverse card. So when a card shows in reverse, it's a reminder. There may be some resistance about it, but not resistance in reference to that. It's a denser energy, just that it's something we really have to work on doing.
Oh, and just like a square. Often you will hear people put a judgment around a square in the astrological. It's difficult. It's a resistance. It's a place where we pause and evaluate. That's what the resistance is.
And the message here is self-love. And this is something we've been working on in 2023.
Is it a 10 again?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is about self-love. And again, that card that showed up about relationship, the new relationship with yourself, and implying some self-love in compassion. Have compassion for self. Focus on that.
That was my word this past year, 2023. And that was a very important, because when you learn for the compassion with yourself, you can feel it for others. But if you don't even afford it to yourself, it's very difficult. And that's when you end up with pity and sorrow and in your own thing. But when you learn to have compassion for yourself, you can detach and have compassion for somebody without, especially empaths. Very important that they learn self-compassion so they can kind of tease apart the feelings they're picking up from someone.
Yes, and whatever it is we're focused on is what we're going to begin to attract. So focus on compassion and see how all of that shows up in your world. Focus on joy and see how that shows up in your world. What you focus on is what's going to grow. So, Kim, this has been fun. I know I had a lot of fun tonight. And thanks for everybody who showed up tonight and shared some wisdom with us. And we will be back again to play some more because there's a lot of moving parts that's taking place this year. And Kitty and I will come back and help you out to navigate through 2024 so you can have an extraordinary year.
Extraordinary year. So take care, everyone. Namaste.
Have a great one, everybody. Till next time. Do-do-do. Leaving when I freeze. Can we do this without freezing? Come on, baby. There we go. Bye-bye, everybody.